The following podcast may not be for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
They say that dolls are more than just toys. They're tools for learning. Little vessels for developing tender motor skills and nurturing the seeds of compassion within a child's heart. But what if that innocent face hides a sinister secret? What if instead of whispers of childhood fantasy, your little one whispers something else in the dead of night? A chill runs down your spine as you wonder, is it truly just imagination when tiny hands clamp down on yours with an unnatural strength? Or when glassy eyes glimmer with a malevolent glow in the dark? When does a doll stop being a doll and your child's playmates become your deepest nightmares? Join me while we chat about Robert the doll. Robert Eugene Otto, known to some as Gene, is a talented author and artist. But if you search for him on the internet, all you find is the story of his haunted doll, also named Robert. Very few have seen any of Gene's work because his talent is covered by a veil of paranormal stories about his childhood doll. The doll came into Gene's life like a spectral visitor from another realm, a gift from his grandfather, who'd unearthed it in the shadowy recesses of a 1904 German shop. Gene named it Robert after himself, and the doll swiftly became integral to his world. His family would often hear muffled conversations drifting from his room, Gene's voice in a low whisper that sent shivers down their spines. The 3-foot figure with its unblinking stare seemed to hold a strange power over the boy. As the years passed, a creeping dread took hold. Had grandfather brought back more than a simple toy from across the sea? But as time passed, a subtle shift crept over Gene. The doll, once a beloved confidant, became a scapegoat for every misstep and mishap. Then the night came when their sleep was shattered by a blood-curdling shriek from Gene's room. They found him cowering in the corner, eyes wide with terror, pointing at Robert. "The doll did it," he whispered, and a cold dread took root in their hearts. What evil had they unknowingly invited into their home? Gene's parents locked the doll in the attic. Gene continued to live in the home with his family until he moved on to become a prominent artist and author. After Gene and his family left the home, leaving the doll in the attic, a new family moved in with their daughter. The doll remained trapped in the attic until the day the curious 10-year-old girl unearthed it, her laughter echoing down as she clutched her new friend. But soon, that joy curdled into screams. They'd find her huddled in her room, the doll sitting smugly beside her. "It tried to kill me," she'd whisper. And though they'd locked the doll away, the nightmares persisted. A malevolent presence had stirred in their home, and it would not rest until it claimed a soul. Once again, the doll was left in the home after the family moved. Throughout the years, various tenants lived in the home, and all encountered odd sounds, such as a child's giggle and footsteps in the attic. Once, a plumber stated that the doll moved itself across the room. On May 3rd, 1930, Gene married Annette Parker in Paris. The newlyweds returned to Gene's childhood home to live with the doll, who was still in the attic. Jean died in 1974 and his wife Annette passed a few years later. After the couple passed, the home was sold to Myrtle Reuter. Myrtle lived in the home for 20 years with Robert. Myrtle wasn't afraid of Robert. She became his companion. Later, once she sold the home and moved, she took Robert with her. She often claimed that Robert was still quite active and would move about the house independently. She fully believed that Robert was haunted. In 1994, Myrtle donated Robert to the Fort East Martello Museum. She told the museum he was haunted and moved around alone. Shortly after, Myrtle passed away. Something changed when Robert entered the museum's hallowed halls. A palpable chill seeped into the air, a sense of foreboding that clung to the staff like a shroud. Though the doll was locked away from the public, whispers circulated among the curious. Robert the doll, the name carrying a dark allure. Visitors started asking for the doll by name, their voices tinged with a mix of fascination and dread. They'd press against the doors, hoping to catch a glimpse of the 3-foot figure with the face of a malevolent cherub. The staff would exchange nervous glances, wondering, had they made a terrible mistake in accepting this doll? For in the heart of the museum, a darkness stirred, eager to be unleashed. Finally, the museum unveiled Robert to the world. A strange charge crackled through the air the moment he was placed on exhibit. Cameras would die in visitors' hands as they approached him. Phones would fail. Staff would find themselves beside this display, as if drawn by an unseen force, their skin crawling as his dead eyes seemed to follow them. But more chilling were the letters. They arrived daily, addressed to Robert the doll. In shaky handwriting, strangers poured out confessions, begging the inanimate figure for absolution. The museum was baffled, but one terrible truth became clear. Robert was not just a doll. He was a magnet for the darkest corners of the human psyche, and he reveled in their fear. The letters still come, a steady stream of confessions and pleas. Robert sits at the center of it all, resplendent in his child-sized sailor suit. The miniature lion clutched in his unchanging grip. They say the outfit once belonged to Jean, the boy who first unleashed the doll's dark power. Now, Robert is a macabre celebrity, luring in ghost hunters and psychics like moths to a flame. You can find him at the Fort East Martello Museum, nestled in the haunted heart of Key West, Florida. But be warned, a visit comes with a terrible risk. For once you meet Robert's gaze, there's no escaping the chill of his unblinking stare. And the letters he inspires are merely the beginning of your nightmare. No one knows for sure if Robert is possessed or haunted, though some speculate that he was cursed. When the original owner, Jean, had him, it is said that his parents were not good to their servants. Seeking revenge, the servants placed a voodoo curse upon the doll. Is Robert cursed? Possessed? We may never know. I guess we'll just leave this to the unexplained realms. During my research, I came across many tales about this doll, though the funniest thing I saw was on a discussion forum, And the person posting it made it very clear that they were high as a kite. And they were freaking out and terrified that Robert the doll and Annabelle from The Conjuring would join forces and be unstoppable. In all seriousness, I felt for Robert Eugene Otto, the original owner of the doll. If you research him, you can't really find anything about his works. All you find are images of Robert the doll. There are so many versions of this story. Some say the doll actually passed through multiple hands and killed people, caused them to have car accidents. Kind of like a real-life Chucky doll. You know, perhaps the inspiration for the 1980s horror film Child's Play. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Robert more than just a doll? More than a mere legend? I guess it's for you to decide. Much like Robert, the truth remains locked away, waiting to be uncovered.